Hey guys, how you doing? It's that guy here, and I'm here to talk about the Captain Marvel film I saw. Now, anyone who knows me knows I am a massive Marvel fan, and I heard this film was coming out, but I don't really know too much about Captain Marvel. But here's a bit of interesting information for you. The hero from DC Comics called Shazam was previously known as Captain Marvel before Marvel Comics decided to claim the name for themselves with this new hero, Captain Marvel. So, I found that useful information out. Anyway, so I didn't really know what to expect from this film. I mean, there's some bits in there that I know from other comics and such, but I'm not really a big Captain Marvel fan. I'm more familiar with her as known as Miss Marvel, unless there's a different character. I honestly couldn't tell you. But anyway, I'm here today to discuss about what happens in the film. If you don't want spoilers, you haven't seen the film yet, go and see it, or don't watch this video. I will take offence to it if you don't watch this video. I'll be very offended, but I'm sure I can live with it. So, let's carry on. So, basically, the film takes place in 1995, and it opens with the girl who plays Captain Marvel. Her name is Veers, I believe it is. And she's there on the planet Hala, is where the Kree come from, and they're having a battle, and he's trying to teach her, the person who's fighting her, a mentor. His name is Yon Rog. I don't know, that's probably how you pronounce it. And basically, he's trying to teach her discipline, control her abilities, and not to lose her temper. And she loses her temper and shoots photon blasts out of her hand. So he sends her off to see the Supreme Leader, who's an artificial intelligence, and apparently rules over the whole place of Hala and the Kree Empire. And she gives her the same warning. So, anyway, so the Kree get together and they go to infiltrate where the Skrulls are. Apparently, there's a big war between the Kree and the Skrulls, and Veer and her mentor Yon-Rogg and some other Kree members go to, I don't know, destroy them, I guess, and kill them, wipe them out, because it's a war. People are going to die. So, the thing about the Skrulls is that they can, as long as they see someone, they can imitate them or turn into them, and it's so you don't really know who to trust, and it could be anyone. It could be me. They're not, but it could be. You don't know. And the Kree are there to rescue a spy they had in the camp, and so they go to the Kree place. No, the Kree go to where the Skrulls are, and then they split up, and Veers gets taken prisoner, and she gets knocked out, and they take her to this big old chamber, and they like put these things around so she can't shoot through toaster blast, and they got this thing on her head trying to read her memories and seeing all these flashbacks of stuff that might have happened for her past, and saying dig deeper, dig deeper. They're trying to find some sort of information from her memory banks or something like that. And Veers isn't sure what's going on, and she's like semi-conscious, I would say. And as they're going through her memory banks, she also sees these flashes of what's going through her mind as well. The Skrulls leader is called Talos. Anyway, she breaks out the machine she's plugged into, and she escapes to Earth, and it's a really old throwback, but she crashes to Earth and she flies through a Blockbuster. And now, anyone who knows anything, these days Blockbuster is gone. They went bankrupt, and this might be a good reason why. Spaceships flying through the roof of the Blockbusters. It's not good. So she crash lands in this Blockbuster in Los Angeles, and she rigs up this telephone booth. Because it's 1995, there's not like mobiles or anything these days. And she contacts her team, says where like she crash landed on this planet, and of course the Skrulls, Talos and his crew are coming as well, and also she attracts the attention of police and Philip Coulson from, that's it, S.H.I.E.L.D. So he's there as well. But hey, that's not it. The big man himself is there. Nick Fury. That's it. Mr. Fury himself. He is also there. And she attracts attention of him as well, because she's dressed in a big old green suit. Well, and obviously 1995 was a bit of a crazy time, but I don't think they went around crashing into blockbuster roofs and wearing green skin-tight suits like that. So she attracts attention of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Coulson, Nick Fury, and the police. And also the Talos and his crew of Skrulls are hot on their tails. So Nick Fury and Agent Coulson take her in and they start questioning her, but suddenly they're ambushed by a Skrull and they start firing on them. And she chases after them and they start having this big fight on the trains, and the Skrulls change into different people and you don't know who it is. And there's a scene where the Skrull disguises himself as like an old woman. She starts punching this old woman in the face. It's actually the Skrull. She's not obviously punching an old woman, but it's quite humorous when all the passengers are watching her punching this old woman in the face. You can imagine the shock. Anyway, she gets a crystal from the Skrull, which has some of the disjointed memories that they recovered from her, and then she loses him off the train, and she's left with this crystal with some memories or something when they were trying to read her in the ship when they had her captured. So she sees his memories. It leads her to a bar, and that's where she meets up with Fury, but not before Fury's driving to go and apprehend Viz. I'm just going to call her Captain Marvel now because it's too confusing trying to remember her name. Captain Marvel was so much easier. So he's going to go and apprehend Captain Marvel, and Coulson's there, and he discovers that Coulson is a Skrull, and he crashes the car on purpose and kills the Skrull. So they go to the bar and they have this conversation, and Captain Marvel asks Nick Fury, what do they call him? He goes, Fury. What does your friends call you? Fury. What does your mum call you? Fury. So his mum even calls him Fury. No one calls him Nick Fury, Nicholas. It's just Fury. That's all he's known as. So there we go. So they get off on the car, and the Skrull impersonates Nick Fury's boss, Keller. So they decide to go to the a big office called the Pegasus. It's an airbase, big old airbase called Pegasus, and so they're there, and Captain Marvel and Nick Fury decide to work together to find out what's going on. And while Captain Marvel's on a certain floor, Fury decides to go on a different floor, and Keller, who's also actually really a Skrull, gets on the lift, and he starts talking to him and goes, so, Nick, how you doing? And no one calls Nick Fury just Nick, it's Fury. And so he obviously knows he's not really Keller, and he knocks him out on the after they get off the elevator, and he grabs Captain Marvel, and she discovers about someone from the memory crystal she stole the Skrull, about this woman called Larson. It's Wendy Larson, and apparently she was a pilot, and she died in a crash with her co-pilot in 1989, I believe. And apparently, according to what Captain Marvel reads, she was also a Kree as well. A Kree. So apparently the aircraft crashed when it was trying to travel at light speed, and so that's how Wendy Larson died, and apparently a co-pilot as well. It turns out that Captain Marvel was actually the co-pilot, and then suddenly Keller, the Skrull Keller, and some other Skrulls try to capture them, but they escape capture by getting in a small cargo jet, and they managed to take. They take a cat called Goose, because it says by a little tag, and Nick Fury grabs the cat and sees the little tag says Goose, and so they take him along with them as well for the ride. So they travel to Louisiana to see a woman called no, it's Maria. Monica's her daughter. So they go and see this woman Maria because she was the last person to see Wendy Larson dead. So they decide to talk to her to find out any information they can find. And this is where Captain Marvel found out her actual name is Carol is it Carol? Yes, Carol Danvers. So from now on I'll be referring to Captain Marvel as Carol Danvers, or just Carol. So she finds out that her real name is now Carol Danvers. However, Talos, the Skrull leader, tracks him down, but he comes and he says, "I just want to talk to you." So they talk, and he actually has the black box from Larson's aircraft carrier, and they find out that she didn't actually crash. It was actually shot down by a alien spacecraft. So it turns out that her mentor from the Kree shot down the aircraft and caused it to crash. And she remembers her mentor Yon-Rogg shooting and killing the pilot Larson, and she remembers that Larson always told her that it needs to be destroyed, talking about the energy core that powered the aircraft to travel at light speed. So Carol shoots it, causing an explosion and causing her to absorb the energy core inside herself, and she has a dog tag with Carol on it, and it breaks off, and she has the DAN or Danvers that disappears. So that's how she gets her name Veers, that they all call her. And the shock from the blast makes her lose all her memories, so she has no memory, and she's brought up on Hala as a Kree. And basically, the reason these Skrulls captured her earlier is to try and get her to remember the time she spent with Larson, because she apparently Carol was the co-pilot, but she survived, as we know now from the black box that the Skrull provided. They tell us. So they want to know how Lightspeed, because even though Larson was a Kree, she was helping the Skrulls to discover Lightspeed so they can get away from, because she knew the war against the Skrulls was unjust, which was surprising to me, because I have read some comics about the Skrulls and I always thought they were bad, but in this adaptation of Captain Marvel, the Skrulls are actually kind of okay. They're actually quite nice guys, as we find out here. So they sit down with Talos, and he explains that basically the Skrulls are refugees and they need this light speed information so they can go somewhere out of the reach of the Kree, because they don't want to fight, they just want to get away from it all. And they're pretty decent people, I must say. But he sees Goose and he's absolutely terrified of this cat Goose, and so Fury taunts him a little bit, holding it close to him and all that. And yeah, apparently he's really frightened of this cat Goose. So apparently there's some coordinates that Larson had given to Carol. She gets all her memory back and she remembers everything that's happened, and she gets the memory back, and these coordinates that Larson had given her, she decides to give it to Talos, and Carol, Fury, Maria and Talos they all fly off into space in this Skrull modified ship. It's cloaked though, so that's why no one found it. And they go up to the source of this energy source power, and it's actually, get this, the Tesseract. Yep, the Tesseract from Captain America, the First Avenger, and Infinity War, and other various films through the Marvel Universe. So, it's in this scroll cloaked ship in orbit. It's and they find all these scrolls hiding out in refugee skulls. They were hiding in this ship away from the Kree. So they also meet Talis's mate and his child, and they're like, oh yeah, they're obviously, and they decide to help them. However, Yon-Rogg and his team have also managed to track them down to the spaceship where they are. So he's on his way, and he captures Carol and he plugs into VR in front of the Central Intelligence, the AI that she spoke to earlier about her controlling her powers and such. And so she's trapped in this VR system with this artificial intelligence, and she can't get out. And so she's trying to fight against it, and it's telling her, oh, we gave you this power, we can also take it away as well. And she's fighting to try and resist it. And she discovers that she has an implant on her neck, and she thought that this was giving her powers, but it's actually controlling her powers. So she rips it off her neck, crushes it, and breaks through the VR to try and help fight the Kree against the Skull. Fight against the Kree to help the Skrulls. So Carol escapes, and she gives the Tesseract to Fury for safekeeping, and she pretends she still has it by keeping it in this Happy Days lunchbox, I believe it is. And so she's fighting against the Kree, and they're trying to take it, and obviously she doesn't have it, and Fury does. So while she's fighting them, she gives the Skrulls, Fury, and everyone time to fly back to Earth while she's keeping them all distracted. And they reach Earth, and they also with the cat as well. They find out the cat, it's not actually a cat, it's an alien called a Flarkin. As it's a scene where some tentacles come out of its mouth and grabs a load of Kree and like smacks them around or eats them. It's yeah, really quite well, weird seeing this. Assume it was a cat, but obviously not a cat. So that happens, and they all fly back to Earth. The Skrulls and Fury and Goose and Maria, they all go back to Earth. And Goose eats the Tesseract, so that's in him. Apparently, a Flarkin has inside its body is another dimension. That's why it can eat so much stuff, and it's just kept in like another pocket dimension, so to speak. And so the Tesseract's in this pocket dimension inside its body now. So that's dealt with. So apparently, what's his name? Yon-Rogg has contacted Ronan and ordered him to fire all the. Well, he's asked him to fire all these missiles towards Earth. But Carol learns the extent of her powers. She can fly, and she destroys all these missiles coming towards her to destroy the Skrull and Earth, and so she saves the day there. And on Earth, she defeats Yon-Rogg, and she sends her back to Hala, the Kree home planet, with a warning for the Central Intelligence. And yeah, so saves the day. So all's well that ends well. She's with the Skrulls, and she says she's going to help them find a new place for them to go where they'll be safe, and won't have to worry about war with the Kree anymore. And so she gives Fury this pager which has been updated and says, call her if there's emergency. I mean a real emergency. So Fury's in his office. He types up initiative, and he's got to call something else, but he deletes it and puts Avengers Initiative for the name that Carol had. Well, a call sign on the plane called Avengers, and calls it the Avengers Initiative. And then you get the old classic post-credit scene where you don't know the end of Infinity War, where Fury sends that page that the Avengers, well, what's left of the Avengers, Steve Rogers, Bruce Banner, they charge up the pager, and suddenly they say it cuts out, and they say, oh, what do we do now? And suddenly Captain Marvel appears behind them, and she says, "Where's Fury?" And another credit scene where they there's Fury's desk, and the Flarkin or Goose is on the desk, and he just coughs up the Tesseract, which is quite amusing. Well, there was a good thing at the start of this movie as well. You know where the film flipped through the Marvel thing, had Pixel stand, like when Pixel remembers the cast as well, and I thought that was a really good thing for Stan. This movie, it was pretty good, I thought, and it ties in very nice with the next film. I believe it's called Avengers Endgame. You might have heard of it. It's some people are making a big deal about it, and you know what? That's going to be the next film I'm going to see. I'll do a review of it when I see it, and I hope it lives up to hype. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.